most interesting thing to me about all of this, and this is because I have a science background, is what he was saying about science. And it's interesting that when you hear them talk about things, it tells you about something else overall in the world, a phenomenon that's happening, and which is what hit me. And I'll explain. So when he said that in the old days, the Islamic scholars used to talk about science a lot. They talked about how this concept in the Quran or that concept in the Quran is supported by science. They used to use science to support their religious preaching, right? Because they thought that science was on their side. And now it's the opposite, where they're saying, well, science isn't the only answer. You need religion to answer certain questions. You need spirituality to answer certain questions. That tells me the scientific awareness of the public has risen in a big way, because what happened, their strategy of the past, right, about using science to support religious claims, it doesn't fly anymore, simply for the reason that people are just more scientifically aware. And that in itself is a great thing. There's just thinking about very generally, I was, like when we used to watch even TV shows and movies, and you used to watch the X-Files or all these paranormal shows, there are all these things where mystery shows where the end would be about some sort of like supernatural phenomenon. That stuff has disappeared, like with the exception of a few fun things like Stranger Things. Like, all of those things from TV shows have disappeared because people don't buy that either. Right? Even supernatural writers like Stephen King have started writing like non-supernatural type novels. There's a general scientific awareness and a general skepticism of these supernatural claims that has just permeated the culture worldwide. And you see signs of it everywhere. And when he talked about that and how they used to use science before, but now they try to not use science as much, that really hit me. And I think that's also a cause for optimism.
Actually, I do want to comment about this whole science thing as well, because it's very interesting how some of these reformers, including Majid Nawaz, what they bring up is the Mu'tazilites as one of their examples. They either go early Islamic history and they go to Mu'tazilites, or they come up with examples like some scientists during the Abbasid era, especially Ibn Sina, and Ibn Rushd and all those people, all that gang. But it's very interesting because both the later scholars and even the Mu'tazilites, if you actually notice, them being used as an example for why looking at logical reasoning and looking at scientific way of thinking was part of Islamic history from the beginning. They're actually very good examples for my take. Actually, when I eventually do put out my anti-Islamic reform manifesto, one thing I'm going to include in that would be the fact that what happened in both of those examples is these are people who were influenced by Hellenism. In both examples, right? These are not the influence that people like Ibn Sina had on thinking scientifically or thinking rationally, or even the Mu'tazilites, is because they were under the influence of sources outside of Islam. It wasn't because of Islam that they were becoming more rational and more scientific. There was nothing in Islam that would suggest everything about their insistence on not relying on revelation, not relying on faith, was under them being influenced under Greek philosophers, right? And the impact that they had on them, right? And one thing I also want to mention about Mufti Abu Layth you mentioned is we should actually do another stream about this whole masturbation controversy in between all of these, because Mufti Abu Layth also highlighted the fact that both Zakir Naik and Yasir Qadi are now saying that apparently masturbation is not always haram, and Mufti Abu Layth is even a crazy, like in the eyes of Islamic traditionalists, he's even more of a heretic than any of these two, right? Because he's even like trying to question hadith, right? So as even whether or not you can even trust any of that. So for Mufti Abu Layth, for a lot of these people, it's a complete heretic, right? So as much of a reformist Yasser Qadi seems to some traditionalists, to Mufti Abu Layth, Yasser Qadi seems like a traditionalist, right? And he was trying to expose both Zakir Naik and Yasser Qadi by saying, like, wait, so you guys are saying masturbation is okay now, it's not haram now. Where are you guys getting this from? Like, so are you guys are all saying, like, he was trying to show how wishy-washy relying on hadith as a whole is, because his motivation is to throw away the hadith. So you guys are saying, like, you guys are basically saying that the Muslim community, the ummah, has got it wrong for the past 1400 years. I mean, if you want to throw that out, because there's you have no examples of any scholar for 1400 years saying what you guys are saying. Like, basically, if that is possible for masturbation to be haram and sinful for 1400 years, and according to every single Islamic scholars, and all of a sudden you two are coming out and saying that escalator is not haram, then you're doing what I'm doing. You're throwing away, like, why stop at masturbation? Why are you not throwing away the entire, like, then why can't we trust in the Islamic tradition on something that's so unanimously Islamic scholars were on the same side? If you're throwing that away, then come join me, come join Mufti Abu Layth, because then where's the Islamic tradition? Right? Where's the reliability of the hadith? And he actually even asked them on his YouTube channel, he asked them, did you guys got like a revelation from God? Like, are you guys gonna vahy or something? What makes you on the right side compared to all the other the ijma, the whole, like, are you guys mujtahids? Like, this conflict is actually very interesting, and it's only starting, right? This is, as Yasser Qadi mentioned, this is the holes in the narratives. These holes in the narratives are going to end up becoming more than holes, because the holes are going to become bigger than the entire Islamic fiqh.
Yeah.
But anyway.
I as much as I love this conversation about masturbation and holes, let's. Well, I just have to say that I got nothing. I got no predicate for that sentence. But
But
yeah, I agree. I would love to actually talk to Mufti Abu Layth. I'll write to him again. I'm going to keep on harassing him, because I've talked to him and he did agree at one point to come on the show. So at some point he will, because I'm going to persist and make it happen. But Susanna saying, I still can't get over how Mufti Abu Layth follows me on Instagram. He's a great guy.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's amazing. Our own Susanna is being followed by Mufti Abu Layth on Instagram. That's amazing.
Yeah, he's
That's
a great guy.
Yeah.
Okay. So let's go back to it. I also want to hear a little bit of what Yasser Qadi says on this before we sign off.
Can we actually read what Bobo is saying as well?
Yeah, Bobo's saying maybe he wants your Quran feet pictures, Susanna. I don't know what this is about, but I really want to know. I really want to know the Quran feet pictures.
Yes. Susanna has been getting a lot of requests because she's been making out with the Quran and molesting the Quran, and she's getting a lot of requests by Muslims with her feet on the Quran. But not by ex-Muslims, by actual Muslims. A lot of Muslims want her feet next to the Quran. And Bulbul is suggesting that maybe that's what Mufti Abu Layth wants as well. Anyway.
I haven't been following Susanna as closely as I guess everybody else has, but that's amazing.
Blasphemy is a kink for a lot of people. I'm telling you, it's a real thing.
Hey guys, if you want to join these streams live, get your comments and questions read by Ali and Armin and the guests, and most importantly, to get full access to the full video versions of all these episodes, become a patron. Link in the description below.